The state's most deadly traffic crash happened 1 decade ago today.
It happened in the southbound lanes of I-43 just north of the Ozaukee and Sheboygan County line in the town of Holland. On Friday, October 11, 2002, officials believe cars began crashing into each other because of heavy fog. Here are some pictures that people had sent to us just after the crash. Many of those vehicles caught on fire. In all, 10 people were killed and nearly 40 were injured. For those involved in the crash, it is something that is hard to forget. Fox 11's Bill Miston has multiple views.
Cedar Grove Fire Chief Greg Novice was beginning his day at Kettle Lakes Co-op.
We got paged to respond to a single vehicle accident. As we were en route, there was multiple 911 calls about a large accident.
There was a multi-car accident, I-43 southbound, just south of the Cedar Grove on-ramp.
Is anybody hurt there?
Oh my God. There was cars just slamming into one another up here.
When we rolled up on the freeway, so it was just an eerie feeling running up in the fog there. We could see the fog above the smoke, or the smoke above the fog. That's when we first figured out we had a fire. The fire itself was probably in the area of a good-sized home. Just had a lot of fuel, a lot of tires and plastic and debris.
Cedar Grove was the first department on scene. Novice says in his 25 years as a volunteer firefighter, October 11th, 2002 is a day that easily sticks out.
It's like 9/11, you can remember exactly what happened. The accident was the same way. We just basically, found the victims that were out of their vehicles. The fire itself, there was very little we could do. It's a helpless feeling. Everybody has that. There's just absolutely nothing we could do.
Don Christensen started doing auto body work and restoration in 1975. That changed 10 years ago.
No visibility, just you couldn't see the road next to you. So didn't want to swerve, didn't want to pull over and stop, didn't know what to do, so just slowed down, but got to the crash before I slowed down enough.
Christensen was heading to Indiana when the crash happened. His truck caught fire. He was able to get out, but suffered severe burns on his arms, chest, face, and legs.
Scarred. Skin is a little problem, but it's fragile.
He spent more than 4 months in the hospital going through 10 surgeries. He still suffers from nerve and muscle damage. After the crash, he used wood carving as a way to regain use of his hands and arms. It took a year and a half for Christensen to get back to work, but his injuries forced him to make a tough decision about restoring cars.
It didn't force me to get out. I had some mobility issues and getting up and down off the floor, climbing in between cars. And it was difficult. I can still do it. I did restore one car after the accident. So this is it.
3 years after the crash, he finished restoring his father's 1962 Chevrolet Bel Air. Now, Christensen is only doing sandblasting.
This isn't how we do body work with a big hammer.
He says work is his therapy.
Time went fast. In some ways, it almost seems like it happened just last week. I survived. As bad as it was, I'm still the lucky one.
For Novice and Christensen, it's a day that they will always remember. But for those that lost someone close to them, it will be one that will be hard to forget.
It seems like I didn't get to talk to her for years and years.
Just north of Cedar Grove is a memorial dedicated to those who lost their lives that day.
And by coming here, I feel closer to her.
Jan and Bob Keppert say they come to it often, replacing flowers and tidying up the monument, paying their respects to 24-year-old Rachel Matt of Sheboygan. Jan Keppert says Matt was her daughter's best friend, but to her, she was more like a daughter.
When she started kindergarten with my daughter at our church, that's when she was 4, and we always were very close.
10 years later, Jan Keppert says it's faith that helps her through the tough times, and the crash is something that she will never be able to forget.
I remember minute to minute when it happened, and it just seems like yesterday.
In the town of Holland, Bill Miston, Fox 11 News.
Chief Novice says there were lessons to be learned from the crash. He says first responders learned how to better communicate between various agencies.